everybody to our Ayurveda talk. I am Marie, an Ayurvedic health practitioner, here to talk to you about transitioning seasons. So we have been having very beautiful weather here in Reno, Nevada. Warm, like unusually warm. It's usually January and early February, definitely February, are what we call the dead of the winter time, right? Because you're in the shortest days, longer nights. So it's the coldest time of the year, but we have had a very light winter, very warm temperatures. And this weekend, I heard the birds start singing. So when the birds start singing, it means that there's a shift happening. And we need to pay attention to what is happening in our environment. Because if the birds are already starting to sing, it means that there's a shift happening, that the earth is waking up from winter. So it's waking up a little bit earlier than we would like here in Reno, Nevada, in Tahoe, Reno area, because we're in the mountains and we're used to a much longer winter. But where I grew up in San Jose, in the Bay Area, San Jose, San Francisco area, we didn't really have winter, right? So spring would happen very early. So it's different every year and it's not a set time. And I wanted to talk about it because we get very in our minds. We use the logical mind to, well, this is winter and now this is spring and now this is summer and now this is fall. But the truth is it's going to be a gentle transition from one group of elements dominating a season into another, and it's different every year, and we want to pay attention to that. So because we heard, or at least I heard, birds singing, that means that we have to start thinking about the season coming, which is spring. And in spring, in Ayurveda, Ayurveda cleanses are extremely important, especially in the spring. So we come out of winter, then we move into the latter part of winter, which starts to feel a little bit heavier because we're moving from that Vata season into spring, which is going to be dominated by the elements of earth and water. In Ayurveda, earth and water are always going to be part of growth. If you're looking at the 3 stages of life that we go through, when you were born during the earth and water time of your life. You were born and it was all about growing until you hit about 25. Growing, physically growing, mentally growing, emotionally growing, right? We have that saying, keep them alive till they're 25. If you're a parent, you know that saying, right? Especially boys, keep them alive till they're 25 because they're not fully developed in the brain until they hit around 25. Okay, so what's happening now is we are starting to early transition into our spring this year. Now, we are supposed to have a colder week coming up, but because we've been having these, really warm temperatures, like I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt this weekend. Because we are having these warmer temperatures, it means that we have to start thinking about what is happening outside. So let's just take a moment to talk about that. What happens in fall? What happens during Vata season? Vata season, all the leaves on the trees die. The leaves on the trees die, everything goes dormant. And what do? They fall to the ground. It all just sits there on the ground. And then winter time is there. And if you're in an area where there's snow, the snow comes and it sits on all of that debris, all of that roughage that came off the trees, off the bushes, and now it's there on the ground. Spring is going to increase water. And so now we'll start to have more rains. And that's going to start washing out all the debris. And so our rivers are going to get bigger, our streams are going to get bigger, our creeks are going to get bigger, and all the debris that landed on the ground in the fall and in the winter is going to get picked up and moved into those big rivers and streams, and it's going to be flushed out. Okay. So that same process is happening inside of you. Whatever toxins accumulated, and remember, toxins accumulate from the environment, from the food you eat, from your lifestyle, right? There's a lot of reasons for toxins that accumulate. You're going to have waste that happens in every system. Digestive waste, cellular waste, metabolic waste. It's all happening. But what happens with that waste? If during wintertime, it stays dormant. It sits there in your body unless you move a lot, right? I had a client today, he's a dancer. So working on people who move a lot, it's so nice. Their muscles feel very different. Their bodies and tissues are way more supple. But for those of us who don't move as much, you become stiff. So you're going to start to feel the stiffness taking place, because if earth that is heavy and water that is heavy becomes stiff, it gets stuck and sticky. So literally what's happening inside of the body is we're going to start to feel this process. We are being impacted by these elements. And now that stickiness and the water and the heaviness is going to build outside of us in the environment as we move towards spring. And it's going to start happening inside of us. So you might get sick. You might feel nauseated. You might lose your appetite, right? Because heaviness is going to cause stagnation. It's going to make you feel stuck. It's going to make you feel like heavy, lethargic, tired, right? That's going to happen as we start to transition and start feeling more earth, more water. So my talk tonight is really about, hey, I noticed the birds and I want you to start noticing. So I always tell everybody, journal. A lot of people say, I don't have time for that. Do it on your phone. Journal. Start paying attention to, I ate this dinner and afterwards I felt fantastic. I would even say during this time of the year, you might want to have no dinner or the lightest dinner, or don't eat past 5. Because if you have a big heavy meal at night, it's really going to cause even more lethargy and fatigue and heaviness in your actual physical body. It's physical. It's physical. This is not abstract. We are made up of the elements. Remember, earth is your physical body. It's your tissues. It's your bones. It comes from the food you eat. It's tangible. Okay? Water's all your fluids. Fire is connected to your hormones, your digestion, your metabolism, anywhere where heat is needed. I always tell everybody, you're too hot, you'll die. You're too cold, you'll die, right? So your body temperature is really important in many systems because it's creating transformation. Air, what happens if you don't have air? Well, you're not going to live for very long, right? And then ether is all about expansion and space. So if there's no space in your physical body, like say your intestines are always loaded with stuff, then you're going to get sick. You're going to get sick. All right. So all of this is part of life and part of this life that we are living. And I'm really wanting to encourage you to align yourself with nature. And yes, get out and be in nature and enjoy it. But align yourself with nature as far as what is the sun doing? If the sun is up, you're up. If the sun is down, you're down. What do you want to do in the morning? Well, the morning is the coffee time of day. So your daily routine matters. When you wake up, you want movement. Get up, move, right? I meditate first. I meditate during Vata time usually, so before 6 a.m. And then as soon as 6 a.m. happens, sometimes I meditate around 6. As soon as my meditation's over, I move into the Kapha time of day and I move. I do my yoga practice, my Qigong. I do all of that. Eat, do everything. And then you move in and then you can align yourself with the most active time of the day, middle of the day. That's when digestion is strongest. And that's when you eat your biggest meal. And then as you move into the other parts of the day, more subtle time, which is from 2 to 6, it's a more subtle time, Vata time. So all of this really matters. And if you were to journal, if you were to just pay attention to, oh, I noticed my digestion's a little more sluggish in the morning, stronger in the middle of the day, or whatever. You want to start noticing, oh, I'm noticing that I'm feeling kind of heavy, or whatever. I'm noticing the birds. I'm noticing the growth in the trees. I'm noticing that people are feeling more energy. Like people are showing up out at the park when the sun comes out. Kids are out playing ball. Parents are out there with their kids. That's the truth. People come out when the sun comes out. So all of this is part of our connection to nature, and we disconnect ourselves from it because we're in these crazy lives connected to phones and computers and all of that. But what I will tell you is if you want true happiness and true harmony and true balance, you have to listen to nature. What is nature doing? You have to pay attention to how your body feels, because your body unconsciously, subconsciously, or not aware at all is being impacted by what's happening in nature, what's happening in the environment, what's happening in the season. You don't have to be aware of it at all, but it is still happening. And what I would say is bring in that awareness, because then we can make adjustments to really support ourselves. So as we have this not such a big winter here on the West Coast, then we need to start really thinking about spring cleanse. And everybody should do it. Everybody, unless you're old or you're a child. Otherwise, everybody else should do it. And there's lots of variations of these cleanses. You could go from mild to more intense if that's what you need. Okay, so that's our talk for tonight. Pay attention. Start journaling. Be aware of what you're hearing, what you're feeling. How's your sleep? How are you digesting? All of this is telling you what's happening around you and how your body is responding. And then you know what adjustments you need to make as we move towards spring.